Akshay, did you always knew what you wanted to do when you passed out from MBA?
I was all over the place. Saurabh, what about you?
यार मेरे को तो तब भी आइडिया नहीं था, आज भी आइडिया नहीं है.
Confused about your career choices? Wondering what steps to take next? In this podcast called Beyond Campus, Saurabh Garg, founder of C4E, and Akshay Datt, founder of Unnati, are on a mission to crack open the career success code for the youth. वो बचपन में कहते थे ना, तुम जो चाहे बन सकते हो. So, let's turn the dream into reality.
My name is Shyatto Raha. I am the founder and CEO of MyHealthcare.
COVID has made the healthcare sector as one of the most critical sectors for any country today. But unfortunately, most of the legacy players in the Indian healthcare system are slow to innovate and become digitally savvy. This is the opportunity that was identified by Shyatto Raha way back in 2017 when he started MyHealthcare. Shyatto is driven by the desire to improve healthcare outcomes in the country by creating digital infrastructure to enable institutions to provide a superior patient experience. And today, many of the largest hospitals in the country are powered by the SaaS platform of MyHealthcare. They have made it easy for any healthcare provider to go digital and enhance their patient experience. In this conversation with Akshay Datt, Shyatto shares his journey from running a media business to becoming a health tech founder.
College was super fun. That was my first stint with media. My friend Akshay and I, we got ragged the first day, and we got photographed, and we were on the newspapers across Indian Express, Hindustan Times. So at a very early age in life, we shot to fame. And till today, that photograph still does the rounds of both of us getting ragged. But college was, I mean, total masti. Yaar. Really, it was total masti. And especially in DU, you do more masti and very little studying. And then you get to the third year, you say, oh, damn, you now have to wake up and quickly catch up on the last 2 years. But it was good. I think it was a great experience. Most importantly in life, Akshay, I spent a lot of my life in boarding school, right? So almost 9 years of boarding school. And one of the outcomes of that is your friends become more of your family than anything else, right? So when I came back from boarding school, so boarding school is very simple. Yeah, you do everything else. You're fantastic at co-curricular, sports, everything else. Studies zero, right? It doesn't. It's not zero, but it's not exactly known for studies. So the call was to bring me back to day school in Delhi for 10th and 12th because my parents were already here. Sorry, for 11th and 12th, and with the hope that some education will happen, marks will happen, at least he'll go to university. So that's why I was 11th and 12th were in Delhi. That was tough. Coming from a boarding school, getting adjusted to a ecosystem where friendship meant totally different things to different people. But then university went back to that same concept of friendship that I had enjoyed in boarding school. So it was great fun. I mean, it is. You were in Nirvana land because you were independent at the same time. You were also enjoying life, uh, and you did not have this thing of your parents saying 10 o'clock come back home, so that barrier had crossed.
DU is truly a very special experience, or at least used to be. I don't know today what it's like, but
Exactly. It used to be a fabulous experience.
mm,
I spent a lot of my life in DTC buses because there was
mm,
nothing else available.
the the U
And
special.
oh yeah, yeah. And we used to, the bus guys knew us, the drivers knew us, we had become friendly with them. So the U special itself used to be a party for us every day.
Right. Okay. So, which year did you complete your eco honors?
I think it was 95. Can't remember. Yeah. Yeah. 95. 94, 95. Then the idea was floating around doing nothing. My parents my mother knew somebody who said, he's doing nothing in the summer. Why doesn't he go to this place called NDTV? They do internships. I said, okay. So went to NDTV, got interviewed by the producer first, and then I got interviewed by Pranay and Radhika, who I still today would say Dr. and Mrs. Roy. And so it was very interesting, that interview, yeah. So, and I'll never forget that. So because I was interviewing for a internship, research internship. So he says, yeah, after I'd gone through the school
This
information, all
was
of that.
when they had launched the
95.
channel or
No,
pre-channel?
no, no, no. Pre-channel, yeah. This is when we were only doing World This Week at that time. So this is at that time, 95. So he said, look, Pranay said, look, we filled all the research positions. But there is this option that we have of a T-boy. So I said,
Okay.
yeah, what is this all about? Yeah. So I said, okay, yeah. I said, I'm okay with it, provided I can use that T-boy experience to learn other things in this place.
Okay.
So he said, you make a good coffee. I said, yeah. Use a coffee machine back there. I said, okay. So went and picked up this, that coffee percolator shit that was there. So turned it around, got some coffee. We had a good laugh. And he said, yeah, okay, must have a chat. I met at that time our editorial head who was there, Apan Menon. He's passed on today. Very nice. So producer was a serious chat. Pranay Radhika was a fun chat. And then Apan was again a very serious chat. So I said, okay, fine. Typically, we'll get back to you. So I said, okay, yeah. And in those days, did not hear back for almost a couple of weeks. Then my parents were members of IIC, so we were going to IIC for dinner on one of the Saturday or Sundays. Pranay and Radhika were coming out and said, Shyatto, where have you been? I've been here, yeah.
They recognized
No, but
you and knew your name, huh? That's pretty impressive.
yeah. So why have you not joined us? I said, I'm waiting for somebody to give me. I didn't even know that I'm supposed to join. No, come tomorrow. I said, okay. So that is how life in NDTV started. It was an absolutely amazing ride, yeah, Akshay. So every 2 years, I mean, there is nothing in my life or anybody's career that I have known that almost every year or at most every 2 years, you were growing leaps and bounds at that time, right? So, I mean, at the age of, I think, 21 or whatever it would have been at that time, I was already a researcher for the World This Week. Within months, I was producing, certain stories for the World This Week show. And before the end of 12 months, I was one of the producers for World This Week. And by then, we had started doing, news on Doordarshan and all of that. And that's it. Things just moved very quickly. So I went from doing research to producing World This Week. Then I was directing the news, which was the 9 o'clock news at night. And then in 98, we decided to launch Star News. So I was one of the people leading technical, the piece that produces all the back stuff. Everything at the front is what you see, what the anchors do. But all the technology and everything that comes together and the production side of it, that's what I was doing. And then moving on to 2003, when we decided to move out of Star News and set up our own news channels, I was heading NDTV 24/7 for operations. Within a year, I was heading the tech operations for the entire news network. Went on to then do business development at the group level. Then learned at a very young age how does fundraising and all of that happen. So I worked very closely with the entire leadership at NDTV to when we raised a few $100 million from NBC and others. And then went on to learn digital because we learned ndtv.com. We had NDTV mobile. So it was like a really very, very rapid going experience. And it was super, yeah. I mean, we had, election coverage was like, you used to look forward to it. And you have to also understand, actually, at a very young age, now you'd suddenly you'd become a boss at a very young age. Yeah. So, and the main thing was, if you take my university freedom, this was university freedom plus plus, because now you are a freedom with money in your hands. Money in your hands. I mean, there was nothing more. That was just fabulous, right? So, it's amazing. And worked right up to then went on to do various other things, like we set up a consultancy business at NDTV, etc. And went on to do. But the life has always been, I've always had the, I would say, privilege and honor of Prana and Radhika giving me my own space, uh, where I've always been a sort of a independent entrepreneur. I find it very difficult when when somebody tries to put walls around me. I can't be a sarkari person. थोड़ा problem हो जाता है. So I need my space, and which is what helped me. I think they gave me that foundation, and which is why I've always been able to have that, that entrepreneurial spirit throughout my journey at NDTV. And my last bit was actually to set up an e-commerce business called Indian Roots. So right from media right up to brick and mortar e-commerce business, and did all of that, and then for there now time to do something on your own.
I think
Because
you spent almost like 20 years at NDTV, no?
23, yeah, 23 years.
23. Wow.
Ah,
Okay. So essentially, you I mean, NDTV in a way is like the original startup, in the sense that from nowhere they reached that kind of massive scale. So you saw that entire journey of a startup converting into a large organization. So,
absolutely.
and you had like a front row seat. So, what were like your takeaways in terms of, how to scale from the
Yeah,
NDTV journey?
so I'll tell you, the one thing is, few things. Yeah. One is that you have to get your hands dirty. You can't do a startup with a corporate mindset. So that was very, very clear. Whether you are no matter what you are and what your position in the company may be, if you want to understand and if you want to lead a company or lead a business, you have to get your hands dirty right from the production line all the way up to the business side of it, right? And own every piece of it. That was one takeaway that I had. Second is you've got to learn the art of delegation. Uh, Sometimes what happens is when you're too passionate about something, you want to do everything. Not because you're a control freak, but it's just you're very passionate. The downside of that is that you lose focus of the other things that you should be spending your time on, right? So you've got to, the second takeaway is you've got to manage as a leader or as a business, you've got to manage time very well. That's one part. And third is scale is something that you've always got to know your limits here. As me as a personal person, as even today, what I'm doing in MyHealthcare, I have to be very clear, and I'm very clear to myself, which we can't discuss today. But there is a line to which I will be able to take this business up to, and after which I need to be able to bring in professionals who have done the art of scale. Who have taken it then from the 100 million to 500 million, right? So I think the ability to recognize that is something that would be my other takeaway that I got from my experience there. And last, most importantly, money matters, boss. Good to have an idea, but what money you have in the bank is ultimately is what you've got to be very realistic about in life. So I think that would be the final sort of learning in life.
Money from investors or money from customers?
Money from customers, yeah. See, investors is a good foundation to get you on, but you've got to learn how to make this a sort of a sensible business value proposition. If your business is completely going to be investor led, somewhere that bubble is going to burst, right? And that bubble is going to burst where the load will fall on you because the investor turn around and say, now this has to be a profitable business, right? And I'll give you my learning from e-commerce, right? My e-commerce experience was phenomenal. I couldn't understand how it was, the numbers stacked up, right? So obviously, like when you're in the first few years, you're losing money. And there was this term called GMV. So GMV, for all your listeners, is called gross merchandise value. So which basically is what you're selling your product at, uh, not what it before the discounting, right?
The
So
MRP.
the MRP, right? But the actual price that you may sell it at is 20% discount to MRP. So this whole thing about e-commerce at that point of time, which is whether I looked at it at Flipkart or anybody else who was doing e-commerce in 2013, this whole thing was about GMV badao, GMV badao, GMV badao. And the problem with the GMV badao concept was that the more you improved your GMV without proper, and because you were spending so much in marketing, effectively the value proposition was ending up with the higher your revenue, the higher the loss. So basically, if you can imagine, visualize that, the loss just kept widening, right? But also the whole concept was that don't worry about the loss widening. The more every business that I saw, the wider the loss, the more valuable it was. I'm like, "यार, समझ में नहीं आ रहा है यार." But sure enough, in that lifetime itself, within 2 years, the bubble burst and everybody sort of realized, boss, that's why I said the greatest learning in life was money in the bank. Everything else is later. And you've got to make that money in bank happen without your investors' funds after about 3 to 5 years. You can't, if you're continuously burning capital, then there is something wrong somewhere.
Okay. So why didn't Indian Roots succeed? That NDTV e-commerce venture.
Yeah, there are various reasons which we can stay out, but I'll tell you the fundamental thing. Start things like startups cannot be done by corporates. And a very well-known VC entrepreneur, a VC partner had said this to me. He said, "Look, I love your business. I would put money in it tomorrow. The problem is that you are a corporate trying to do this." And it's just you don't have the agility. Your mindset is different. uh, you're not an entrepreneur yet. At the end of the day, the corporate is the entrepreneur. So I think the things like e-commerce and all, either you that is the business that you're in. So if you look at the worlds of Amazon and Zappa or whatever these others are, that's their business, yeah. But you can't do this as a side business.
Hmm. Although,
So
Times of India has managed to incubate a lot of businesses within its umbrella. Uh, so, they are also a corporate. I think probably the approach they took of being hands off might have worked.
but if you look at there also, Akshay, the India Times shopping never worked here. That has never worked. Right from inception till today, it's never worked. So everything else they have incubated. You're right, they have incubated, but it's been whatever other businesses they have incubated tie back to the media side of life. They've not gone away from the media side of it, right? So whether it is, even if you look at their other assets that they've created using their advertising, that brand capital side of it, and so on and so forth, it's still tying back to media. So I think that ultimately everybody stayed in their own lane, if I'm not to put it.
Okay. So, what made you want to move on from NDTV? Like, what was the itch which you wanted to scratch?
Uh, I needed more freedom to do something which was my own, and I wanted something where when you're creating value for a corporate, you see the result in your salary increment, right? Uh, but I actually was very intrigued and always intrigued in creating uh, value in terms of asset value by creating shareholder value for myself. So that was one itch that was there. But it was most the itch from childhood has always been to build something that is your own. So whether it was my Lego set or whether it was my train track set or whether it was in university working with ISA, the fundamental itch has always been khud karo, and to do something. So that's always been there. Yeah. I mean, till today, I would have at home. I have my entire toolkit set. So even if something has to be fixed at home, I have my full toolkit set, my drill machine, everything, because that each is still there in some form or the other in your life. So that's there. Yeah. So that had to be fulfilled, and that was the reason to jump into my healthcare. And one of the people who helped me, I think, was my mentor, who's Mr. Hemchandra Javeri, and he was my counsel and advisor and sort of your sounding board. He asked me all the questions, literally the financial side of life. This is what will happen to you if you go into entrepreneurship. This is what will mean for personal life, and so on and so forth. So I think all of that put together, and life is always like, ab karna hai.
Yeah. Okay. So
So
when you
that was it.
when you like resigned, did you have a business idea in mind, or you just
Oh
knew
yeah.
that you'll figure it out? Oh, you had
No,
an
no,
idea. So
we had the idea of the business. I was always so like I had done the e-commerce venture. I had done the started the healthcare incubation already while I was still working with NDTV, and the whole idea was about while I was traveling and looking at various because your e-commerce I was traveling, the whole idea was that when you see there was nothing being done with digital technology in healthcare. I'm talking about 2016, right? And amongst many things, one of the trips I had done was to Indonesia. And in Indonesia, as luck would have it, we were trying to partner with one of these groups called the Lipo Group uh, to do very large, like the Indian Roots Indonesia version. Right? Meeting was supposed to be in Jakarta. Then the chairman shifted it to a place called Karawaci, which is where they have their largest hospital. And then they moved the meeting to the boardroom of the hospital. I said, okay, yeah. We're sitting in the hospital, and as any meeting in Jakarta, everything got delayed for 2 hours. So my colleague and I started walking around the hospital. Everything was paper. And it's very strange, yeah, because we had all done, digital content, digital e-commerce, and we had done digital wallet. And our liaison who was with us, and he said, yeah, how come people don't use digital technology? Can we meet the CEO of this hospital? He said, yeah, yeah, sure. And that was very interesting. Then we had more chats, and we realized that, the fundamental flaw was that the healthcare delivery system was completely broken in hospitals, and for various reasons. Some of the reasons could be that everybody wanted the best machines, but then none of that is integrated. Then some of them could want the best pieces of technology, so you've got silo technologies which are there. So nothing really stitched it together, right? Uh, and then we came back. When we came back to India, then we went and tested that thesis with a few other hospitals, etc. And that's when you realize, this whole success of healthcare delivery, in at least one part of it, is going to be in creating a proper healthcare ecosystem. You know, so like you have Urban Clap, which is an ecosystem of services. Uber is an ecosystem of transportation. Ultimately, you need to have all the various stakeholders on the same ecosystem, right? And only then will healthcare work, because otherwise I can't keep running from pillar to post as a patient, and then my entire document, my healthcare record gets broken, right? Because I have one report from one place, one report prescription from somewhere, etc. And then my only hope is that I better not lose all these sheets of paper, right? Because otherwise no idea what's going to happen. So that was the genesis of creating a healthcare ecosystem. We had started this journey with NDTV, again as part of the entrepreneurial thing, and then the typical thing happened here to say, obviously when you do it in a corporate, the corporate takes a higher equity share and you're like an ESOP player, and he said, "Nahi yaar, this is my idea, I want to do this." And that's when I decided, yeah, nahi, this is something I really want to do, and we parted ways very very amicably. And he said, I,
So,
and
did NDTV transfer that business to you, or there was just
no,
some ideas which you kind of
no,
like?
no, no, no. We started completely on our own. So we
Okay.
formed our own company and we went and hired people. And the first lesson in life of entrepreneurship hit me within a week of resigning and starting this off, which is entrepreneurship is high risk, high reward. Uh, and as my co-founder said to me, he says, one thing about, again, the other thing about entrepreneurship is you jump into the deep end and then either you sink or you swim. There is no
Hmm,
other, there's
hmm,
no third option, right? You
right,
can't
right.
float. So if you float for too long, you will sink. So you've got to swim, right? So that's when we decided that, look, we are going ahead with this. So three of us quit. Three of us started.
All three
We
from
had,
NDTV.
yeah, two
Okay.
of us from NDTV and one Anish, who's my co-founder. He was not there for so long. He had joined me. He had joined us during the Indian Roots journey. That's where we met. So, but yes, technically all three of us left NDTV and joined here, started here. And it was great. It was quite yeah, life may, at that point of time you have two kids, uh, grown up kids, and you have responsibilities, right? So we quit in December, and I remember this the very next day. We were, I mean, that night itself, we were going up to Dehradun to meet my parents, and we were going with friends for Christmas to celebrate Christmas. And we were thinking, yeah, how do we break this news? Because if we both go and tell our parents that we both quit, we've all quit, then to problem ho jayega life mein. So, we decided, look, hang on, we won't tell anybody about this. So we went through this whole Christmas, etc. And then 31st December, we were out with friends. That is that night we told our friends that, look, this is what we have done. And then first Jan 2018 morning, we got up, we had our logo ready, and I started shooting out offer letters to all our people who wanted to join us who wanted to join us. Because a lot of our tech team and some of our project team people who were in NDTV in my division wanted to come with us. So we had about 12 people who came with us. And then we said, हाँ ठीक है, अब ये तो हो गया है, अब offer letter चला गया, now we have to pay the salary.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then we have to
How
sadly
much? How much money did you start with? Like three of you, you must have put in your some like savings and all into it. No? Like what
everything.
was
Yeah,
the?
we put in at that point of time about close to 35 40
Hmm, hmm,
lakhs, right, straight
which
in.
would have lasted you what, like 9 months to a year, something like that?
No, at that point
Not
of
even.
time would
Okay.
have lasted us like, yeah, 3 to 4 months, because you had Amazon costs and all of that now. So all that was also there. But we were very, very fortunate. Yeah. Two things happened. One is we got a very early sign on from Fortis, which was our first client, right? So Fortis saw a product, signed on to us. And then as soon as Fortis signed on, one of our early investors, Hunch Ventures, came on and gave us a term sheet like within 60 days of us setting up company, right? So which was quite incredible. So yeah, so that was that gave us a little more boost and confidence, right? And then sort of we started building on this journey, and since then, no looking back here. It's almost like I've forgotten the world of media and I only know healthcare. That's the
So
only thing that I know.
uh, I want to go more deeper into what product you launched with. Like, you say that ecosystem of healthcare. It sounds ambitious, but typically when you start a business, there's more immediate need which you are solving. So, what was that immediate need that you were solving? What was your product like when you started? Like, what did you sell to Fortis?
So you're absolutely right. Ecosystem is everything, right? You had the doctor side, you had the hospital side, you had everything, and you could not. There was no way you could have managed all. So what we started with was the easy part, which is the patient side, because that side we knew. Because between three co-founders, none of us are actually healthcare people at that time, right? So we had no idea what to start with. So we started on the patient side. And on the patient side, everything right from the patient experience to when you took an appointment and how you reached at the hospital, the experience thereafter, the marketing to patients, etc. So that is what we did with the Fortis team, and worked very closely with the CIO and the head of marketing. And so that's why even today the My Fortis platform that you see, that platform is ours. And also, I think what we were able to crack is that we brought this because we had this vision of the ecosystem. We brought it as a SaaS model. So we were very clear because everybody was getting confused to say, "Are you an app development company?" So you say, "Well, no, we are not. We are a ecosystem." And like you correctly said, this is the first part of the journey. So don't get confused. There is a second part also coming. So that's how we started, yeah. And then over the years, I think today we are almost like a full stack. So everything for primary care is already now available on MyHealthcare. So from that journey in April 2018 that went live, today, which is 3 years later, we have the complete patient side. We have an electronic medical record, which is what the doctors use. So everything for e-prescription, virtual consults. We have integrated with partnered with companies like Omron and Roche and others. So where all these devices are integrated into the MyHealthcare platform, so patients can do it. So the whole idea for us is, like I said, the ecosystem is now beginning to take shape, where my one single patient application can help with not just a doctor consult, but help with your diagnostics at home, medicines at home, monitoring your various vitals and all of that at home, and your consult with your doctor. So the idea is, I bring healthcare to you, don't have to travel all the way to the hospital, and that is what we are able to deliver today.
So the early product which you were selling was essentially like what Practo also sells to small clinics. That something like a patient management software was what you were
Yeah,
selling. The
yeah,
early
yeah.
product.
So that was the big distinction between us, right? Practo was B2C. We decided to go B2B2C, right? So our whole journey was, we don't want to go directly to consumer, because this, again, from the e-commerce experience, we learned, actually, that direct to consumer businesses take a lot of capital, because consumer acquisition costs are very, very high. So which is why we went B2B2C. And today, when you see, what companies are getting invested in, like in the new flavor of the season, if one was to call it, investors are very attracted today towards a B2B business. The reason being that the unit economics are better. You're not burning too much capital to deliver a business. So that's the reason why we went down this journey. And you got more captive audience, right? So for us, the advantage was, the moment you went live with the hospital, you got a much larger scale.
So
So that was much
how
more.
is the uh, your monetization is from the hospital only, right? Like the patient is not contributing anything to your revenue.
No. So we monetize directly from the hospital, but on a SaaS basis. So it's not like, again, the problem that the healthcare sector has seen is that hospitals need technology, right? But hospitals cannot get drained with the technology cost burden, because they already have so many lines of so many cost line items. So the second thing was that we looked at it, where the reason why digital adoption was not taking place in hospitals is that somebody needs to own it. Right? So we have brought this entire MyHealthcare as a value proposition to our hospitals, where we come in as partners. So we typically do a 4-year deal where we own that process with the hospital. So it's almost like saying, you focus on healthcare, we will bring in the technology solution, but we will work with you, right? Because each hospital is different. We will work with you in mapping your journey, your patient journey, your doctors, etc. And we will make sure that the digital adoption happens. And we've tied our commercial to that. So our commercials are tied to every successful transaction that takes place. So if a
How
OPD
do you
actually
define transaction? Like,
So let's say a patient has booked and come and met a doctor, that is a successful transaction, right? So yeah, so every time there is a successful transaction, the hospital pays me, right? Uh, as this is a podcast, we won't get into the commercials, but let's put it this way: it is not more than the cost of parking, right? So it's bite size, right? But at the sense, the whole idea is that for them now, the advantage is that I don't have a very high technology cost burden, but at the same time, I have a partner, and there is innovation. So we take on the burden of innovation, right? So every new innovation that we do, or new feature that we do, we give it to the hospital, because our whole understanding is that better features, better experience, better adoption, right? And today, that is the success. If I was to say, is that that really has what has given us the numbers and the accolades that we have received from various hospital partners.
got it. So your solution could be like compared to something like a Oracle or a Salesforce kind of a platform, which is highly customized for each hospital and essentially helps the hospital to completely digitize their workflows.
Yeah, a good way to compare that. Yes, yes. The only thing that we do is, we, instead of customizing very highly, while obviously the UI, the design, and the colors are customized, we make everything configurable, right? So if you want a new feature, we configure it into the system. And the reason for that is, that allows us the scale. You see, if I have too many customized deployments, my support cost is very high. because each one is a different instance, right? Here for me, everybody's on the same page. It's just your front ends are different. So every time you want a new feature, I configure it into my product and then send it out. So everybody's on the same stack then.
And like the from like what all things are covered in this, like say as a patient, what all would I experience in this? Like obviously for booking this would be used, like if I want to book a OPD appointment,
So
then
let me take you through a typical journey, right? So right from booking an appointment, when you arrive at the hospital, to checking in at the hospital and allowing you to go straight to the nurse's station and beating all the queues. The moment the vitals are entered on the nurse, you get to see it on the app. Uh, Before I meet the doctor, even on the journey to the hospital, I can upload questions and documents and everything else for the doctor to see, so that even when I'm waiting outside and just before I enter the doctor's room, or even on a virtual consult, which has now become the bigger benefit, the doctor can see my information before the consult has started, right? So he has all of that in front of him. I'm not sifting through papers in front of the doctor, him or her. After the consult, because the consult is done on our EMR, which is the e-prescription more platform, as soon as the prescription is generated, automatically the orders can flow through to the hospital system, right? So which means I can go straight away and get my x-ray done, my medicines can go to the pharmacy, I can pick it up and I can leave. When the test results come, they come directly into my platform. So it come when it's come into my platform, it comes via SMS or via email or whichever way to the app. And again, if there is a follow up, I can book my virtual consult, I can book my home care. I can do, if I'm admitted in a hospital, I can do various in hospital functions through there, like payments and call for a nurse and all of that. But that's the in hospital. But largely, everything that a patient needs for primary care today is already there. So right from consult to getting diagnostics at home to getting pharmacy at home, things like that, they're all there. So everything that the only thing we don't do is I don't send a cab to your home yet. I have partnered with I have
okay.
partnered with Uber, where you can book
Huh.
an Uber cab through my platform, but I don't send the cab
Okay.
to you.
Okay. So the each patient, I mean, uh, as a patient, I would need to download a app which is common to all your customers, or each customer has their own app. Like, do I
No,
download a
so
MyHealthcare app as a patient,
yes,
or do I
yes.
download a Fortis app?
No, so for largely you download a MyHealthcare app, which has got all my hospitals in it. Only for my big clients, which is like Fortis and Max, we have created a Fortis app and a Max app. But otherwise, everybody else is in the MyHealthcare app. So if you look at the MyHealthcare app, you have Breach Candy, PSRI, Primus, all these hospitals which are there. And now we have clinicians who are there. And again, clinicians, how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors is we have all our specialists there, right? So I have close to about 2,000 cardiologists who are on our platform, right? So we are focusing on giving access to specialty care. Um, and this is just to give you a sense, Akshay, what the problem that we're trying to solve for our patients today is twofold. One is access. Second is the centralized health repository, what we call the longitudinal patient history. So everything that has happened to you through your life should be in one place. Now, the problem of access is a very critical one for us, right? So I mean, as we are on a podcast, just a few things that we are today, the problem with the healthcare infrastructure is not physical beds. We just don't have enough doctors and nurses in this country, right? We just don't have it. If you look at the simple statistics of it, 70% of India does not have access to primary healthcare, right? Quality primary healthcare. Why? Because 30% of it's all in urban India, which is 30% of India, right? If you look at specialty care, super specialty care, we're talking about the top 4 or 5 cities of India, right? Which is Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, uh, Bangalore, Calcutta. So that's the reality of life. So if I, God forbid, live in let's say a tier two city and I need a craniotomy, which is like a neurosurgery, there is no way I can get that done. So I have to come to a city here, right? So the whole idea is that, and the reason I have to come here is because I can't transport the doctor there. If I have to take a doctor from, let's say, Delhi to Kanpur and back, he's going to, what he could have done is 10, he loses out on 10 surgeries, right? So whatever his knowledge base and his know-how is, How do we connect that over a period of time to a doctor in Kanpur and be able to do the similar experience? Let's say a patient in Kanpur can still connect with my doctor in Delhi, right? And then follow up with a doctor in Kanpur. So that is the access that we want to try and improve. Then the second thing, like I said, have everything in one place. And again, I'll give you an example of that. Most people don't understand the correlation of one diagnosis with the other, right? And I'll give you an example of this. We were in Bhubaneswar, right? We had gone to see this hospital, and there was this patient who was in a very critical condition, and we were trying to understand what had happened. And the hospital gave us a little bit of knowledge on what. Obviously, they wouldn't reveal too much to us. Essentially, this patient had come to this hospital some time back and was obviously suffering from hypertension. So he was given blood pressure medication. Right. Few months later, the patient came and met a eye doctor. Right. And this patient was suffering from something called glaucoma, very very high, heavy eye pressure. Right at that point. But he did not. Then obviously the doctor said, "Ab aur kuch dawai le rahe ho?" They did not say that I'm taking anything. But there's nothing. But he assumed that am I taking any more medication for the eye? Answer is no. The doctor gave medication for that. Now, when this patient took both those medications together, it pushed the blood pressure so far down that the patient fainted, kept fainting, right? And it is only when he reached the critical care, and because when you're going to critical care, you have the habit of carrying sab kuch sare papers leke jao. You don't know what will be required. That is when they realize that this is what is happening. So I'm just giving you a very simple. This is not a medical negligence error, right, of a doctor. This is just a simple fact that you don't connect things. And patients, typically, when you think of it, when you're going to see a doctor, you're never in a good mood. It's not a happy place, and you're not in your wits are not about you, right? You're not remembering everything. So you're not remembering to carry all your documentation, etc. So this patient longitudinal history is going to go a very long way in actually solving giving you accurate diagnosis, so that you get diagnosed correctly and as quickly as possible. So that's the second problem that we're trying to solve.
Okay. So I want to ask you about this longitudinal history.
Was it simple enough? Was it simple
Yes.
enough? Or was it complicated? Okay.
No, it was good. I think well, I have a good picture of the goal, but there are like practical issues in achieving this goal. No, so only the clinics and hospitals on your platform, their reports get added to my profile, right? What if I get a test done from someone who's not on your platform? Then how do you capture that also?
So, see, this is going to be a journey. You can't cover everything in one go, right? So, whatever we have done, first we've got partner hospitals on board. Then we started getting the doctors, those partner hospitals, which have doctors who are doing their own clinics, who already have their private clinics. We also brought them on board. So that at least when a patient is moving between these two, their records are in the same place. Now what we've done is we've brought diagnostic partners, started bringing diagnostic partners on board. So we have Lal Path Labs and Healthier. So if you go and get your blood test done in any of these two places, then your blood report will come here. The third we have done is, like I said, we got device companies. So blood pressure monitors, ECG, and blood sugar. If you use any of these monitors, all your data will be in one place. But to answer your question, absolutely right. This is a journey. What we have created is a triangle where I have hospital slash healthcare institution, doctor, and patient, right? So this triangle we have created. And now we are focused on pushing and improving the pipe that has connected this triangle.
But
So that's our focus.
Is there a way for me to manually upload a report if I go to someone?
Okay. Of course. Yeah, you can. So manually upload is there, of course. And that is what we call our personal health records, where it's almost like your Google Drive or your Dropbox of all your health records. So you can take a photograph, you can upload a PDF, you can store pictures. Even if I had rash or something in one place, I can store that, and you can catalog it. So all of that is there. So that's what we call the personal health records, or to keep it simple, my documents.
Okay. So then, in a way, if I am proactive, then my entire longitudinal history can be on the MyHealthcare platform. This even includes,
Absolutely.
like, say, like Fortis and Max have their own branded apps, but that data also will come into this.
No, no, no. At this point, what happens is those large organizations do not want interflow of data, right? Somewhere at some point, so we've started the journey. Even when we started MyHealthcare, we started this during the pandemic. Most hospitals, Akshay, did not want to come into one app. They did not. They'll say, our patients will go here, there, and
Proprietary
we
data and all that. Huh?
and our whole point was, please understand that ultimately the patient, you see, in India or anywhere in the world, 90% of people who are going for specialty care have already made up their mind which hospital and which doctor. They are not coming for discoverability, right? So they've already made up that mind. And if my records are in one place, there is a very high chance that I will come, then it's easier because it adds to the stickiness of it, right? So this is how we actually showed it to the hospitals. And today the advantage is the hospitals have seen the benefit, right? They've actually seen an increase in patient through our platform. And we don't do patient marketing. So unlike Practo and others, we are not going and marketing to bring patients in. But they've seen that growth. So all of that is going to pay, and ultimately see what they, and now they're being able to see the vision. Doctors are being able to see the benefit. Who are the real drivers of this entire thing? That if I click on Akshay, when Akshay's appointment is there, when I click on Akshay, I should be able to see everything about Akshay. When he went to a clinic, now when I see all of that as a doctor, I can diagnose better. The patient experience I can give Akshay is better, right? So that is now beginning to kick in. So it does take time, unlike other sectors like retail, service, etc. Healthcare is a space where change takes time. It is a very, very slow process. You have to be very patient. Um, and this is a shout out to the investors as well as to everybody. Healthcare is a very, very slow adoption sector because there is a lot of implication, and legacy issues are there. So it takes time.
Do you anticipate yourself taking a hard call and telling Fortis and Max that your data will join the pool, or it has to come from them?
It has to come from there. First of all, one has to always remember, no matter how big you become, you cannot go and dictate somebody else's business. That I don't think that is recipe for success. You have to work, and that's why we don't call them clients. We do call them partners. You have to visualize them as partners at every sense of it, and make sure that whatever you do complements their business. Uh, and you cannot. And when they feel comfortable, they themselves will do it. And I think as clinicians are beginning to see it, I will not say it's round the corner because, like I said, healthcare takes time, but it will happen. There is also a chance that the government may push this agenda, where the government is saying that, look, you have to allow patient data to be, as they say, interoperability of data has to be there. Like it should go with wherever I am. So so all of this put together, it will happen. I don't think patient data is, in my view, very personal view, I don't think by holding back interoperability of patient data, it's going to cannibalize anybody's business. I think you're going to make patient experience better. I think patients will feel more confident and will see more transparency. So that's my view. But
You spoke about government pushing interoperability of patient data. What are some of the things that the government is currently doing for this? And do you see some sort of a government app coming in which might be a like a threat to your business?
yeah, see, I'll tell you. So, what are the few things the government is talking about? One, we all know about something called Ayushman Bharat, which is really making sure health insurance is available for all. But Ayushman Bharat focuses a lot more on the low income population, right? So, and it does not really help you with specialty care. The second thing the government is talking about is a single patient experience across all healthcare, public or private. So what they're calling is the National Health Card. I'm a bit unclear on that one because you already had the Aadhaar card. Why do I have to have a second card? But effectively, what does that achieve? What they're trying to do is use that to link all patient records. and ultimately say that, let's create all the same central repository of patient health records. I don't believe that any of these public initiatives will ever uh, axe or threaten our business. Because today, if I look at telemedicine, the government has something called e-Sanjeevani, right, which is out there. Um, Nowhere has it even remotely threatened any of the telemedicine companies in some form or the other, right? And largely because I think the real recipe and the opportunity for the government will be to partner with startups, right? And I've said this in some other forums as well, that the government really should create opportunities where, when the typical tenders are there, not startups get thrown out of those tenders. But the real innovation and the real ability to effect change is going to be bought by startups. So if the government can bring healthcare startups into these opportunities, I think there will be far greater success. One, for us to scale, which is what everybody would like to see in this country. And second is, you will actually see action on the ground, because when you have these large organizations and PPP,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's all nice announcement, but कुछ होता नहीं है यार.
Okay. So you said the other vision for you is to solve accessibility. Uh, and you also said that you're not doing patient marketing. So how are you solving that accessibility? Like, do you allow patients to discover doctors and book appointments with them, or like, how is that?
So we had, like I said, so far the entire journey has been B2B. Now we are started our D2C journey effective last year, around October last year. And what we're doing is we do patient reach out to the patient in two ways. One is the hospitals themselves do the marketing, right? So they also push out to patients to say, if you want to do any online activity with my hospital, then please download the MyHealthcare app. We are already available on that, right? So one is that push that is taking place.
Do you
And
also
of
allow
course,
hospitals to run campaigns, like, say, hospitals have this free checkup camps, and
yeah, yeah,
so like
yeah,
push
yeah. So they can push
notification.
campaigns.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, they can do that. They can do
Hmm.
all of that, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
fine. But now we've also started doing a little bit of digital marketing. So we don't want to do this ATL marketing of hoardings, etc. Because our focus is, like I said, improving. So we're doing very clear targeted digital marketing with a view to showcase the hospitals that we have and the doctors we have, so that patients are aware that they can connect with the doctors over here.
Okay. So
So
like a
that's the
discovery
marketing.
platform. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Not discovery in the sense that the discovery that these doctors are here. So not that to go and say, which discover doctor should I look for. So we don't. One thing we don't allow, Akshay, is we don't allow price discovery, right? So the main issue has been discount in healthcare, and my belief and our belief, even at my healthcare, is you cannot commoditize healthcare, right? You cannot, on a shirt I can say 20% discount versus your shirt at a 30% discount. But on a doctor consult, you cannot say 100 rupees versus 300 rupees. That you cannot do that, because each doctor is different, and each capability is different. So that's why we are very sort of staying away from, and we hope we can deliver this successfully. But we are not doing discounting in the doctor side of it. Diagnostics and pharmacy, of course, that whole world is, again, that is not healthcare in my sense. That is that you can get discount, but we don't discount doctors.
Got it. So what is like, can you share some numbers, like how many patients are on your platform, or how many doctors use it, or you know uh,
So
like
we
what is the
have
size?
about so we have today we are fortunate that we have a total patient base of about 20 million patients on our platform today. We have in the last 3 years we have delivered about 5.2 million consults, and we have close to about 18,000 doctors on our platform across the entire ecosystem today.
How is it
So
that there are 20 million patients but 5 million consults? Like, uh, all patients
because
are
not
not.
every yeah, because you come in, you discover, you don't consult, you don't necessarily consult, right, a doctor. So you may have done e-pharmacy, you may have done other thing, you may just have done discoverability, but you may not have consulted. So it's not, yeah, because we're not a wellness platform, right? So you're not coming and taking yoga classes with us. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it, got it. So, are you also looking at this 20 million patients as a market to whom you can proactively push offers from your medical partners and, like,
Yeah, of course,
se-
of course.
hmm, hmm,
Of course.
hmm.
So every time we have a new functionality or a new feature or new, we obviously push it to our entire patient database. Again, depending, we have everything broken up by age and gender and geography. So depending on where the services are for, we do very targeted marketing to that patient base. So it's not like bombarding again and again and again. So that's where.
It's something like
Uh,
what, say, a Zomato would be doing. Like, if Zomato knows that I like pizza, so maybe a new pizza restaurant opens and they tell me there's a new pizza joint near your home.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah.
hmm, hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on what is their need, you would show them a relevant
Yeah.
information about that. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Hmm,
That's
hmm,
right.
hmm. Got it. Got it. Okay. And what is your head count? Like, again, just for indication of size. Like,
Uh, yeah. So we are north of 80 people today, uh, and that is something when we started off, we never thought this is where it's going to be. So Anish, Divya, myself, we always said, 3 साल में we should get to about 50 people, yeah. So we never thought we'll get to almost 90 people today. We are spread across Bangalore, Delhi, Gurgaon, sorry, and we've just opened our tech center in Dehradun.
Okay. So, who are the other players in this market? Like, can you map out the competitive landscape? Like, who all are you competing against, and what is their differentiation from you? Like,
So I would say the other competitors include the likes of, and one side will be the likes of MFine, DocOn, DocSap, and the like of them,
so
who are in the B2C space,
okay. So these would be
right?
like they're directly selling healthcare service, and
Correct.
they
But they're
have.
selling the directly.
uh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's the
Okay.
direct one. So which I would
Hmm.
say is MFine, DocOn, and DocSap. On the B2B side, I would say we have the likes of MPHRX, Care Experts, and couple of others. Of late, I'm hearing even the likes of PwC are getting into this, who are also looking at the B2B side of it. So these would be the two parts of who I see as competitors or who I see as the ones in the space. The uniqueness that we bring to the market today is I don't think you can do one without the other, right? Because you need the hospital and you need the doctor and you need the patient. So I think what we have done is we've taken a certain section, which is specialty care, but in that specialty care, we have done B2B2C, so, and I think that really connects the two sides of it. And I think, let's see, I think some of the B2C players who have heard about us are also looking at coming into the similar model that we are doing. Uh, because like unit economics have become the reality of life for everyone. Yeah,
By B2B competitors, you mean like people who provide hospitals with a digitization platform where they can.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And again, there I think where we are different is they provide the platform and then it becomes a hospital's problem, right? So it's again a client vendor model. I don't see anybody today in the market in India doing a partnership model like the way we are doing it. And I think that's what makes us a differentiator. Like, typically, I mean, hospitals can't do it. You look at a hospital platform, Akshay. How can a hospital figure out, yeah, naya feature ye karenge, let's do this as a new thing? Their thinking is completely that let me focus on my healthcare and my patient, right? Not how do I make my digital technology more powerful for my patient. That's not their forte.
No,
Whereas that is our bread and butter.
your engagement is amazing because uh, it is in your incentive to increase their transactions. So your
Absolutely.
incentives are very well aligned because the more transactions they do, the more you earn, and the more they also
Yeah,
earn. So it's a
absolutely.
very good win-win kind of an engagement. I think that's like probably the secret sauce for you.
Beyond Campus is a production of the Podium.in, powered by Career Launcher. If you like this show, then we are sure that you will love our other shows on subjects like entrepreneurship, marketing, books, and drama. Check out the Podium.in for a complete list of all our shows.